The work week is over. The neon sign is on. Welcome into the After Hours Lounge. Jimmy Allen, John Schreiner, Dan Campion with you live here on 16th What of the Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu. You can register for classes and become a Bruin as early as this fall. John Schreiner is live from England. We'll get an update on what's going on across the pond as he's pretending to be on vacation. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's up, y'all? How's it going?
Your microphone is way turned up. We're going to try to get that figured out. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. Do you miss the spring game yet? We do not, but we'll tell you why you probably should. We'll also tell you which three teams that did make the college football playoff this year that will. Creighton Senior Day is tomorrow. What does it mean for Ryan Kalkbrenner to walk back out of the CHI Health Center one more time? And John Walker, speaking of Creighton, John Walker from the Omaha World Herald will join us to break down his thoughts on the Jays tomorrow as well. Let's try this one more time. You doing good, man?
Yeah. How are things back home?
Much better. Okay. Yeah, they're good. It's finally starting to warm up here. It's going to be 71 on Monday, so you're going to miss that, unfortunately. But before we
get into it was 62 here today.
Oh,
and
shut up!
Bright sunshine. Yeah.
Which is
not
rare
English weather at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into the show, do we have any updates on anything that's got? Have there been any fun parts of the trip so far?
Yes. I mean, we got in yesterday at like 9:40 in the morning, and then it was just kind of the drive from London to where Robin's family lives, which is about 2 hours, and we just kind of hung around a little bit yesterday. We did mostly the same today. My father-in-law and I bought tickets to the soccer match we're going to be attending on Tuesday, which is Colchester United against Port Vale.
Who are we rooting for?
Oh, we're Colchester United fans all the way. Colchester's nearby, so Cole U all the way. No, but it's going to be fun. I think we're going to take a little road trip on Sunday up to Norfolk and see a castle and some estate grounds and that sort of thing. But that's really right. Yeah. I don't know how many castles are in Norfolk, Nebraska. I'm guessing it's
402-951-6020. If anybody listen to Norfolk tonight wants to let us know how many castles there are.
If you live in a castle in Norfolk, go ahead.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. I don't know how much. It's been fun so far, and yeah, just enjoying time with the family, and of course, my kid is just thrilled to be hanging out with his cousins, who he gets to see only a couple times a year.
How'd the little guy do on the plane this time around? I know he's done it a bunch of times.
Yeah. He's a champ traveler, man. He does so well.
Good to hear.
He gets unlimited video game time, which is something
every 8-year-old
really enjoys. Yeah.
Hey, I don't know how much you've been keeping up on what's going on in college football today, but the AAC comes out and announces a minimum. You have to give at least $10 million to your athletes. This is the first conference to do this, and putting out there that, hey, we're going to kind of raise the bar and make sure that the floor is all equal across the board. And I thought that was really interesting. So schools can reach the required $10 million figure through a combination of benefits now available to them through the settlement of the House and the antitrust lawsuit. The settlement is approved later this spring that will permit schools to offer scholarships to entire rosters and separately share the projected maximum $20.5 million annual salary with their athletes through the direct revenue sharing. So we've heard that number thrown out a ton, the $20.5 million revenue sharing ability. But it's interesting to me that they're going to factor scholarships into that, because that's something that has been thought, well, is this going to be included? Is that a tax write-off? How are they going to handle this? And to me, we've talked about super conferences and exactly how your Michigans and your Ohio States of the world can split off but still be a Big Ten member, or how do you wean out some of the lesser thans or have-nots of the world to still be on the same playing field? Kind of feels like this is how they're going to do it. It's going to have to be a minimum of X amount of dollars if you want to see at the table.
Sure, and it makes you worry about schools like Wake Forest, Duke, perhaps even a Virginia Tech to some degree. Those schools with smaller fan bases, smaller revenue streams that are going to maybe struggle, are just going to struggle to get to that number in just raw dollar figures. So, I mean, what does it mean for them? Is Wake Forest on their way out of the ACC? Perhaps like that would be a huge boondoggle to say that a conference is kicking you out of membership because you can't meet the minimum salary requirements for your athletes. That's mind-boggling to me. But like, honestly, Wake Forest was the first school that came to mind as like, man, how are they going to pull this off?
Yeah, and to me, I mean, the other side of that coin is if there's a Wake Forest or a Purdue of the world that drops out of that category, is there a Gonzaga or a, in from a basketball standpoint, or a Memphis from a football standpoint that does have that money and that backing that would go, we'd like a seat at the ACC, we'd like a seat in the Big Ten, we'd like to spend more money on our athletes, we'd like more TV rights deal money, and it'll be interesting to see who, if at all. I mean, obviously this is just a theory. Maybe there's somebody in Winston Salem, North Carolina. It's like, I've had this $50 million laying around that I've been meaning to give to you. But if that doesn't happen, and we do see some, like, obviously this is a form of relegation from a financial standpoint. Who are those schools that don't have seats at the table right now that would be willing to fork up that money to have it? And as far as just from a headline standpoint and a story component, that's the most intriguing part to me.
Well, you think about private schools that have huge endowments, right? They've
Yeah.
got lots of cash reserves, and there's one in the Summit League that is in that exact position, the University of St. Thomas. That is a extremely wealthy small school that has tons of financial backing. That, like, look, they made the jump
In
from
a really good spot too.
Division 3 to Division 1 direct. Like, you don't
Yeah.
do that unless you've got a boatload of cash.
And have been able to handle their own. There's a chance
Yeah.
that they could win the Summit League this year.
Yep. And so you start looking at schools like that who, have a lot of money but maybe aren't playing in a big conference that can pony up that kind of money to do that. Well, now Wake Forest is a private school as well, but I don't know that they're going to be able to do it at that level. Like, not that it's not to say that St. Thomas could either, but
Right.
it's
But could
known
they?
to
We don't
be
know.
it's known to be a wealthy school. So you start taking looks in those directions, and it becomes really intriguing. And I know we're going to get to the realignment discussion later, but like, what happens to some of these schools? Like, that there are state schools, like public universities that are smaller, that are like, they're just, maybe they aren't going to be able to compete. They're not going to be on that footing.
Yeah. Um, I don't think she would. I'm not going to say who, but I was talking to a softball coach from an AAC conference school that's married to somebody that I know, and she was just mentioning that we kind of feel like this is an AAC softball coach that said, with NIL and the transfer portal the way it is and the money that we don't have at our school, we feel like there is, like, we're just a feeding program, and that's where we are. Like, we're never going to be able to compete at our level because we don't have the financial backing that's there. And I think that's what we're seeing here is, okay, we have to not only look out for the best interest in our conference, we also have to look out for the best interest in our charter members too. And do we want to put the athletes at school A in a situation where they're never going to be able to be successful? And do we need to put what's best for them? Because I think a lot of people look at this as, oh, it's a money grab and everybody wants the most and blah 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 blah. But no, there's some people out there that are just have-nots, and they're always going to be have-nots because they don't have the financial backing or the donor base that a lot of schools do. And therefore, we have to look out for a situation where we put them in a spot where they can be successful and continue to play their sport respectively.
Yeah, and like, what we're trending toward is the way JUCOs used to be a feeder program
Uh-huh.
for Division 1 schools, and now it's like we've just bumped that up a couple of levels, and now small conferences are becoming a feeder level for the Big Four. And you might start to see this happen where, and honestly, it's all trending towards the big split, man. That's
Yeah.
what everything is pointing toward that.
We talked about St. Thomas, and I wonder how much a school like North Dakota State, who's had a tremendous amount of success in their football program, is looking at the D1 level and going, we're not that far off from that. We could, like, the people that probably write the checks at that school are going, we'd like some of that money. We've had game day come here. We've had national notoriety. We've won championships here. What do we need to do to take that? Why can't we be Boise State North? Why can't we be the Boise State of Central America? And I think they could. And what does that mean from a money standpoint? And are they willing to make that jump? And do they have a donor base? I know it's a huge jump. I know it's not as simple as, hey, here's our resume. We'd really like to. You got to have the financial backing to do it. But when you build a winner, people with money usually support it.
You're not wrong. winning draws the donors in, because people want to support a winner, and really outside of the state that we live in, don't necessarily like to support a loser.
Yeah.
But it, I mean, North Dakota State's an interesting case because yes, they win a ton, and they're always right there at the end.
Right there.
But how do they compete? How would they be able to compete as a full Division One program? Like if you stick North
Making the jump in football is much bigger deal than making the
right,
jump in basketball.
if you stick North Dakota State football in say the Big 12, what does that look like? Like you're starting from the absolute bottom. Like and it's not a fertile recruiting footprint. They've done a really good job of getting the kids in, their sort of 500-mile radius who maybe get overlooked. They've done a good job of that, but is that enough? Is
Right.
that enough to stay competitive at a level that's going to keep you
Yeah,
and keep your
because
donor base engaged?
exactly, because there's the residual effect, right? You make the jump and you're not competitive. Those checks probably start to get a little bit smaller. Just a real quick update. We're keeping an eye on anybody that keeps seeing me stare up at the screen. Nebraska playing UCLA in women's basketball. The Huskers cut the lead to 2 and then gave up another lead and then just cut it back down to 3 here in the second quarter, 34-31. UCLA leads. Let's go ahead and have the conference realignment discussion now, though, because uh, the ACC got stuff worked out with Florida State and Clemson, got a deal put in place that runs through 2030, and it's really hard to think that's still only 5 years away, at 4 if you're counting fiscal years from football season. But it's really hard to believe that if something were to fall into place, right, to um, if a team were to leave one, we've seen this happen. Team leaves one conference, all the dominoes start falling. Right. I still don't think the ACC is out of the waters, even with those 4 schools:
Mm.
Miami, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson, all thrown into that discussion. And I think that even includes Duke if you're talking about North Carolina. I don't think conference realignment is done, and I think what we saw from I think the ACC wanted to, or the AAC, excuse me, wanted to beat everybody to the punch today and say, hey, here's the standard for what we're going to set. So for when everybody else comes out, if somebody does, for lack of a better term, get relegated down or needs to find somewhere else to go, they have the expectations of what they're going to need to have to come here.
Here's my pushback against conference realignment. I think that the past 2 years, year and a half, and we've seen these conferences expand to 16, 18 teams. I think it's become unwieldy, and I think that the large conferences have recognized that the
Hmm.
math starts getting tricky with all the tie breaking scenarios and teams not playing each other an equal number of times or not playing each other at all in
Teams having to
football.
forfeit if there's a fire.
Well, and the travel. There's been so many complaints about the travel and the taxing amount or the amount of taxation on the time of the student athletes, and they still have to maintain their grades. I don't think any of the big four are going to expand. I think that
Mhm.
they are pretty much set with the one caveat that I said earlier. We're heading for the big split. Like it's all pointing towards the largest schools splitting away from the NCAA, forming their own thing, and being a separate entity that operates under its own purview. And I think I don't. Will that happen in the next 5 years? That's hard to prognosticate whether that happens that quickly. But I think just the momentum in that direction is so strong, especially with what we've talked about with setting
Yeah.
minimums for what you're going to have to pay your athletes and the schools that are going to be left behind when it comes to that. It just feels like we are setting wheels in motion that aren't going to stop in that direction. But I don't think that the big four conferences are going to be in a position to add more teams because it's already unwieldy.
You weren't here for the discussion on Wednesday that Dan and I were having about the ACC choosing to basically say we're going to give the big dogs all the money, and everybody else is going to get a little lesser than the
Yep.
2 West Coast schools and SMU are going to get nothing for 9 years. Do you agree with that rate of pay, or do you agree with what the Big Ten SEC is doing, where everybody's getting the same pay across the evenly across the whole conference?
I think if you want competitive balance in your conference, then you pay everybody the same.
Mm,
But I think the ACC's hand was forced by their 3 biggest earners,
Yeah,
and who, were
probably gonna leave anyway.
throwing their weight around a bit, and the ACC was in a spot where if they didn't make, some sort of concession to those 3 schools, they were gonna try to leave. And an institution, the ACC was probably not gonna survive that, right?
Right.
If those 3 jump ship, the rest of the teams in the league are like, "Well, what do we do now?" And I think they were put in a position where they had to do that. I don't think it's good for the overall health of the conference. I don't think it's a decision that's in the best interest of the health of the league. But I mean, in another way, it is, because if you don't do
They
that,
might
the
not have
league
a league.
probably folds up shop. So it's sort of a catch-22. There's a little bit of a paradox there where it's like we have to make this decision in the interest of the league that's not in the best interest of the league, which doesn't make any sense, but it's true.
The ACC got 1 team into the college football playoff this year. Will they get more next year? John, Dan, and I give you our 3 teams that didn't make the college football playoff that can next year when we come back. If you missed our opening segment, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Allo Fiber. Allo goes beyond internet, bringing fast, reliable speeds with an all-fiber network. Allo goes above and beyond customer service expectations as well, with local teammates, no robots, and 24/7 customer support. That's right. If you're sick of dealing with your cable company's automated system, work with Allo Fiber. You're always going to talk to a real person. College football playoff discussion. We come back. 1620 Zone.
Hey everybody, John Schreiner here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. It's conference championship week kicking off this week. And if you are going to head out to one of those conference championship sites, well, then you need to have the best in your favorite team's gear. That's right. They have all the great Creighton gear in all the great brands. Peter Millar, Mizzen and Main, Johnny O, all the brands that we here at the After Hours Lounge love, that we wear ourselves. Go check them out. 78th and Dodge. You're going to get the best. You're going to get great service. And if you tell them After Hours sent you, you're going to be met with a hearty handshake and a pat on the back for being a member of the After Hours Lounge. Go check them out. 78th and Dodge. They got all the great stuff. Plus, the exclusive Tommy Bahama women's polo with the Creighton logo on it for that special lady in your life. Check them out. 78th and Dodge. Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. Dressing Omaha for over 50 years.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7.
It's going to be a bit of a gray, damp, dreary Friday evening with temperatures in the mid and upper 30s. But as clouds clear out overnight, temperatures really drop into the mid and low 20s. But sunshine breaks away tomorrow afternoon, and we see high temperatures get in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Luke Vickery, KETV News Watch 7.
Investment in its athletic programs with a new $25 million athletic center. This state-of-the-art facility will feature multiple practice and competition courts, a modern 6,800 square foot sports performance and fitness center, an advanced golf simulator, and a new lounge area for our student athletes. The athletic center will open in early 2025. Come see the future of Bruin athletics. Schedule a tour, meet with other athletes, and explore Bellevue University for yourself. Visit BUBruins.com. Are you watching the water slowly seep down the drain again? Go with a local solution. Go with Trusted. AX Plumbing is here to help. With over 20 years of serving the metro area, AX Plumbing can do it all, from residential to commercial. They can even help with the new build installation service. Head over to axpservice.com today. There's financing available to qualified buyers and military discount too. Check out axpservice.com today. AX Plumbing. They'll leave your place cleaner than they found it.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
New Year's resolutions? Let's be honest, they're long gone. So why not embrace that fact and make it cheesy at Pepper Jack's Grill? Got the app? Get the cheese. Loyalty members get free cheese sauce on Phillies, rice bowls, and burritos because everything's better with cheese. Not a member? Join today on the Pepper Jack's app and get in on all that cheesy goodness.
Pepper Jack's Grill. When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Contractors. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Contractors come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less.
Ready to make a positive impact in a young boy's life? Join Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands and become a mentor where you are matched up with a boy in the greater Omaha area. Over 50 boys are waiting for someone like you to guide and inspire them. Visit mentoromaha.org and sign up to make a difference in a boy's life. Don't wait. Make a lasting impact today.
How's it going? Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Question, do you enjoy spending time outdoors in a favorite activity? Aha, I knew that. Then I have a challenge for you this year. Why not share what you know outdoors with somebody in your family or friend group? There's somebody in your network anxious to get outdoors and learn the lifestyle. They just need you. Share what you know. Attention park goers, have a friendly reminder that the Nebraska State Park System is open for you. Whether it's wildlife watching or hiking or maybe sightseeing or even winter camping. The majority of our Nebraska state park areas are available to you. Just need your state park permit and money for those camping fees. By the way, you can get more information about the 76 area Nebraska State Park System online through the Game and Parks website at outdoornebraska.gov. I'm Greg Wagner, Nebraska Game and Parks.
Hey Jays fans, it's hoop season and you know what that means. Jerry Ryan has the best selection in town for all things Creighton gear. Stop by Jerry Ryan at 78th and Dodge for your quarter zips in all shades of Jays blue, plus jackets, vests, winter coats, you name it. They have it. Multiple Jays options for men and women from Peter Millar, Cutter and Buck, and Johnny O. Stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing and dress like the coaches do.
At Jerry Ryan's, we bring out the best in you.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
When it's cold, it's a pretty sure bet you're going to spend almost all of your time inside. Windows shut, doors closed, snug as a bug in a rug. Trouble is, with your home closed up tight to stay warm, it could also be making you more susceptible to radon gas. You can't see it, you can't smell it, but it could be there. And the only way to know it is to get it checked. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. So reach out to Radon Defense Midwest and ask about testing your home for half off. Click radonradio.com and be more comfortable in your home.
Now back to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
We have some breaking news, Dan. "25 minutes ago and 48 hours ago, we asked on this very program, are these wide receivers being shipped out of Seattle bad news for Geno Smith? And apparently the answer is yes. Geno Smith has been traded to the Las Vegas Raiders, John Schreiner.
Whoa.
Yeah. Also, not giving up their first-round draft pick to get him either. That's a good move by Las Vegas. We've heard Tom Brady making the rounds, apparently maybe or may not being in Aspen to ski with a current quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams of great significance. But it looks like Pete Carroll got his guy, literally the guy that he was formerly coaching in Geno Smith, to get him to come to Vegas. And now can he get DK Metcalf as in a trifecta and get that offense rolling back in Vegas as well? But it makes sense with the Pete Carroll connection. A little surprising that Seattle was willing to move on from Geno Cheesesteak after he kind of turned things around for a little bit. But apparently it looks like there's a full sale, complete wash in, wash out in Seattle right now. They're trying to rebuild the whole thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting move. It's a veteran presence who's serviceable, and the Raiders haven't had anything serviceable in quite a while. So
you pair Geno Smith with a guy like Brock Bowers and give him some outside presence too, that offense could go from irrelevant to scary pretty quickly.
Well, and the Jets just dumped all their receivers, and one of those guys has familiarity with the Raiders organization.
Sure.
Like, would you put it past him going back? I don't know.
No, I would not. But this is the After Hours Lounge brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app to keep up to date on all the championship action happening on Bellevue's campus today. We're going to do our practice here that's usually like a mid-June, July segment, but these may change with the transfer portal. We're going to give you 3 teams that didn't make the college football playoff that could this year. Just full transparency. I did not list Alabama, South Carolina, or Ole Miss on my list just because I felt like that was really low-hanging fruit and pretty obvious. So I went with 3 teams that are not those 3 teams. I'm going to start with my number 3, and it's LSU. I think LSU is the team that was the closest without being close. Like if we're talking about outside of the top 20. It's Brian Kelly. It's all the talent that gets attracted to Baton Rouge. Their only non-top 25 loss this season was to Florida. They lost to Alabama, at Texas A&M, and USC. You get Garrett Nussmeier back for another year. I think LSU is a team that could absolutely compete for a national title next season.
Yeah, LSU's interesting. I mean, the question is whether you trust Brian Kelly or not. I mean,
to get to a 12-team playoff, I think I trust him to get to a 12-team playoff.
Yeah,
with LSU talent,
it's certainly possible. I won't quibble with it too much. Like at the speculation stage, it's not a bad pick. I would love to run you into the ground for your pick, but I don't think I'm able to on this one.
All right, who do you got?
I went with a different SEC team, and it's Texas A&M. I just feel like that program has been a sleeping giant of sorts for too long. And
just got a boatload of money from a media rights deal, too.
They got a boatload of money for a media rights deal. They seem to be top 5 recruiting class every single year. Feels like they have the right coach in place now.
Yeah, I have an apology to offer because I did not think Mike Elko was going to be able to step into College Station and plug and play, and I was very wrong.
And look, man, like I think I didn't put Alabama on my list because I don't think Alabama's making the playoff again. Like I just don't see it. The only other team that I was thinking about out of the SEC was Ole Miss, but they're losing a longtime starting quarterback that they have to replace, and some other pieces around him. So,
and I'll ask you the same question you asked me: do you trust Lane Kiffin? Because I don't know if I do. I think I trust Brian Kelly more than I trust Lane Kiffin.
So I think that the team out of the SEC that has the best shot is Texas A&M.
Dan, my 103-degree fever on Wednesday didn't allow us to do this practice, so I know you have a list.
I do.
Who do you have at number 3?
Well, I'm just swinging it on over to the Atlantic Coast Conference because speaking of starting quarterbacks, what do you know? A familiar name to Husker fans and Big Ten fans all around. It's still a weird thing to say. Miller Moss is now the quarterback at Louisville, and they are one of my picks. Make it into the college football playoff next year. They got Rookie of the Year, Isaac Brown, returning in their backfield, along with Chris Bell and Colin Lacey. And allegedly, we haven't seen him play yet, but allegedly, the offensive line is well improved. And we know that was kind of Miller Moss's bit of a problem at USC, was the fact that he didn't have time to throw the ball all the time. I think that Louisville can be the ones to make it to the ACC championship game get the win there and scurry on in
I think you left out
to the college football playoff.
I think you left out the biggest component. It's Jeff Brom. I think Jeff Brom is more than a suitable enough coach to get them to an ACC title game and win it.
His name's on my list. I just didn't want to mispronounce that last name.
Sure.
Jeff Brom.
My number 2 school is Memphis. The Tigers have had back-to-back 10-win seasons. You're going to have to replace Seth Hennigan, who's a 27-game starter at Memphis. He threw for 3,500 yards. That's a little bit of a big deal. But for me, the reason I'm willing to put Memphis into this category is the jump they've made defensively over the last 2 years. They jumped from 95th to 63rd from 2023 and 63rd to 52nd in 2024. And that makes me think that there's progression happening naturally in Memphis. And I think even without a starting quarterback, if you can get that group of 5 spot, I think Memphis is a team that can absolutely do that.
I also chose Memphis as my group of 5 team. And I'll tell you why. I know they're replacing Seth Hennigan, but Brendan Lewis is a name that you're going to be hearing about this year. The transfer quarterback from Nevada. He threw for, I think it was 2,200 yards, ran for 775, 16 touchdowns, 7 picks, completed almost 68% of his passes. I think in that offense with Memphis, they brought in a ton of transfers. They have hit the transfer portal hard. And I think like Brendan Lewis is a guy that you may hear early on in the season. I don't think it'll be there late necessarily, but with some good performances early on, he might be mentioned as a dark horse Heisman guy because he's going to win the Heisman in September.
Yeah, he's going to win the September Heisman.
He's going to put up a bunch of numbers in their non-con, and he's going to look really good doing it in that Memphis system. I think Memphis could be the at-large team this year.
Dan, is it a sweep for Memphis, or do you have somebody else?
I do have someone else because I didn't go group of 5 for my number 2 pick just because that's how I made my list in order.
Sure.
And we love an ordered list around here in the After Hours Lounge. Kalani Sitake and his BYU team. I think that they're going to be the ones in the Big 12 this year to make it into the college football playoff. They're returning their quarterback again.
We love us some BYU around here.
Let's remember, folks, Jewish at a Latter-day Saints school. It's got to be fun for them. But BYU,
and he's got an NIL deal with Manischewitz wine.
My man.
How do you spell problematic?
Actually, not problematic.
BYU.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I forgot about the.
Yep. Go ahead, please. You got there. You got there. All right. Listen, I just full disclosure. I have a Big 12 school on my list. It is not BYU, and it's just because the way they fell apart at the end of this season. Like when I started doing this list, it was the intention of putting BYU on my list, and then I started doing some homework, and I went, "Oh man, I think they're gonna get to the title game and lose again."
Oh no. Because that was my thing. Is I was like, I don't think they fall apart in the title game again this year.
Well, they
were so close last year that they could taste it.
They fell apart this year. I'm saying I think they get the title game this year.
You think that's when they fall apart?
Yeah.
They're an early season fall apart if they fall apart.
It's to this team for me. I think Iowa State's going to win the Big 12 next year. I think the Big 12 is going to be similar to us this year. Wild and crazy and wide open. The Cyclones went 10-3 this year, and they laid an egg in that Big 12 title game to Arizona State. Missed the playoff this year. You got to replace you get Rocco Beckett back. Excuse me. He's going to just add on to those 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns with just 9 picks like he did this year. Do we not give Matt Campbell enough credit for being a quarterback developer? Because it just feels like he just gets good one after good one after good one to come to Ames, and we don't talk about it enough.
I hate to do this, but like I made my list before I read yours, and I also have Iowa State.
I think they're going to be really good, man. I think I don't think not only do I think they're going to win the Big 12, I think they're going to be really good.
You get Rocco Beck back. You have a really good tight end room. The defense returns a lot of production, and like the rest of the Big 12 looks really suspect. I mean, Arizona State. Does anyone believe they're going to be the same? I know they returned their quarterback as well, but like Scadaboo was the offense essentially, and he's not going to be there. So does one of those other schools jump up to, can Texas Tech make a resurgence? I don't believe in them. Does Houston or UCF have anything? I don't believe so.
Well, UCF's got a much better coach now.
Can Kansas find it again with Lance Leipold? Where's Kansas State? There's just so many questions. And weirdly, the team that has the fewest questions is Iowa State. Nobody has ever said that in the history of Big 12 football, that Iowa State has the fewest questions, but that's where we are.
Dan?
My SEC pick, and I guess kind of my dark horse on my list a little bit, just because there's a lot of unknowns, but they're one of those schools that they play a lot of good up-tempo football, Arkansas. There's
Sam Pittman gets a stay of execution.
There's got to be.
Give him an extension, says Dan Campinen.
May as well. We're getting to a point where we're going to probably end up having
64 SEC teams,
a ton of Big Ten schools and a ton of SEC schools. And you're going to have multiples this year. And Arkansas, I think, for me, is the one that's going to sneak in there. I have a feeling that they're going to surprise people. It's a gut feeling. We all know how that went last year, though, and my gut feeling was Wyoming.
Yeah.
Don't make the college football playoff.
They won a total of 2 games.
Mister, I did no research. Just going on my gut.
Yeah, listen, I said I thought Sam Pittman was going to save his job, and I also thought Billy Napier was going to. I think Florida's going to be much improved next year, too. I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team. I think they might be a fringe team that we're talking about maybe being in that 15-16 realm by the end of the season. I'm not as big of a Billy Napier hater as some people are, and our friend Brian Edwards would probably burn him at the stake if he was given the opportunity to. But I really think that Florida reminds me a lot of Nebraska in the sense of there's a lot of people with their hands in the pot down there that probably shouldn't have them there. I think that's a bigger problem for what Florida has than anything else.
And I know we didn't prepare for this, but I'm going to ask it off the cuff.
Sure.
I think I know the answer. My team that made it that is most likely to miss is Arizona State.
Oh, I don't even think that's debatable, right? I mean, when you talk about everything they're losing, and not even everything that they're losing, but the most important piece that they're losing, and maybe the other easier answer is Boise State, just because they're the Group of 5 school that had a Heisman Trophy candidate you're probably not going to have this year. But I would be more surprised if Arizona State made it back than Boise this year, if I'm being honest, just because I think there's an easier path for Boise State.
Certainly.
Mine was just SMU because I just can't see that happening twice in a row.
I think that's number 3. Well, I told you before the season started, I thought they were going to win the ACC.
Yeah.
But that's just because of how they lost all that contributing offense that they had coming into the ACC this year. That's going to be one of the more intriguing teams of the season. It's like, okay, what does it look like now? Because all that productivity you brought with you is now gone. So what does that look like?
And you're not sneaking up on anybody either.
Yep. Agreed. Start of the second half here, Nebraska trailing UCLA 41-39 at the start of the third quarter. We'll keep you up to date on that score as that game rolls on. We're going to talk about Senior Day tomorrow at the CHI, what it means for Ryan Kalkbrenner, what it means for the other 3 guys that are graduating walking for the last time as well when we come back. If you missed this segment, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by our friends at Cunningham's Pub. 2 great locations out in the Old Mill location and the historic Blackstone District. If you haven't grabbed dinner and drinks tonight to start the weekend off right, do so at Cunningham's Pubs. A ton of craft beers on tap. Stop and grab the Everything Bagel Salmon Wrap. It's my personal favorite. It'll change your life. Stop by Cunningham's and grab dinner and drinks tonight. Creighton's Senior Day tomorrow when we come back.
Hey everybody, John Schreiner here for Bob at Williams Law. Now, I may not be in the country right now, but that doesn't mean I can't tell you about some of the great legal advice that you can get right there on home soil. You don't have to go across the pond to get the finest legal minds in your corner. That's Bob at Williams Law. He comes in every week to talk about the big issues facing the world of sports. And even though your issue may not be as big as that, it's still big in your world. And what you need is a guy who understands the big picture. That's Bob at Williams Law. He's going to sit you down, give you a free, no obligation legal consultation where he explains your rights, walks you through the process, and answers those burning questions that are keeping you up at night, given your specific legal situation, be it criminal or civil. Bob's got all the expertise, he's got all the knowledge, and he's got the great personality that you are going to love to work with. So check him out at williamslawllc.com and get yourself a free, no obligation legal consultation.
Are you dreaming of your business dominating local Google searches, drawing in customers effortlessly? Look no further. I'm Courtney, the Google gal from Pixel Fire Marketing. Need assistance with your Google business profile? From verification to getting more reviews, fixing maps to tackling annoying Google calls? I've got you covered. Your profile sets you apart and ensures you're the top choice for local customers. Visit fixmygbp.com for our $297 special offer. Visit fixmygbp.com for more details.
Criminal, civil, personal. If you or a loved one is facing a lawsuit, let Williams Law represent you and your family today. With more than 20 years litigation experience in Nebraska, Williams Law will defend you with the dedication you deserve. If you're facing a DUI or if your son or daughter has been accused of a crime, Williams Law is here for you. Call 402-522-6317 to get a free, no-obligation consultation and to get the representation you deserve today.
You can get a great craft beer pretty much anywhere these days. But what about the whole package, dining out, service, and atmosphere? Come to Cunningham's Pub and Grill, home of Omaha's original smoked wings, now with 2 locations. We're bringing back Sundays at our Old Mill location this fall, where you can catch all the sports while enjoying quality food and drinks. Find your flavor and follow us online for unique daily specials and fun craft beer events. Cunningham's Pub and Grill in Old Mill and now Blackstone.
When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Contractors. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Contractors come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at
PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less. My name's Stephen Butler, and I own Controlled Comfort. And we've been in business for 6 decades. And in those 6 decades, I like to think that everything we do is about the art of comfort. It's about the skill of our people, but it's also about the integrity, because at the end of the day, I value my employees, so they value you. And that's really all this is about. If you get cold this winter, think about us. We'll come help you out. We'll get you out of bind. It'll be fair, it'll be fast, and it'll be the right price.
Controlled Comfort keeps it under control.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Aloe Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit aloefiber.com to switch today.
Woodhouse has been your trusted automotive partner since 1975. Whether you're looking for a new vehicle, looking to trade in your current one, or need expert service, our team ensures a smooth and streamlined experience every step of the way. Explore our wide selection of top brands and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with our team's dedication and decades of trusted service. Get started online at woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
News Talk 1290 Coil is the home of Omaha Maverick women's basketball all season long. Don't miss any of the Maverick action as they try to make their mark on the Summit League this season. Omaha Mavericks women's basketball is on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Hey, I'm Tyler Bebot with Modern Real Estate, and the 2025 housing market is looking better than ever. If you're looking to sell a home, then you will receive 3 things from me. 1, a guaranteed cash offer at our first consultation. Any type of property from $2 to $2 million. 2, an as-is listing price at current market value with no improvements. Or 3, we help you improve your home before selling so you maximize your take-home profit. So interview me before you sell. Get started at myearnedequity.com. That's myearnedequity.com.
You are listening to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
.45 on a Friday night edition of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu. Register for classes. You can become a Bruin this fall. John Schreiner from the great country of England.
Yes,
Motherland
sir.
for some of you out there listening. Dan Campenden of Northern American descent from Southern Canada. And Jimmy Allen, homegrown product. All with you here tonight. Speaking of homegrown products, Ryan Kalkbrenner, not an Omaha native, but a homegrown product in the sense that he's been at Creighton his entire career and will finish out his career at Creighton as far as regular season game plays go as tomorrow and his senior day. He'll walk out to the starting lineup at the Chai to Jake Ryan's announcing for the last time tomorrow. That game is still not sold out, and I cannot believe that. I cannot believe I'm saying that. However, you can still get tickets available to the senior day tomorrow, which will honor Ryan Kalkbrenner, Stephen Ashworth, Jemiah Neal, and Sammy Osmani. Ryan Kalkbrenner needs 2 more blocks to pass Patrick Ewing to be the all-time leading Big East blocker in history. As far as a J goes, he leads Creighton in field goal percentage, games and total minutes. He's also got more wins, tournament wins, and total wins more than any other player in a Creighton jersey as well. They're not going to retire number 11 tomorrow. I know a lot of people feel like they should do that, but the only reason that I think they should not do that is because it's 4 other guys' senior day as well. But when we talk about the Mount Rushmore, and this is a conversation 4 or 5 years down the road after Ryan's left Creighton and had his time in the NBA or whatever he ends up doing after he leaves Creighton University. But there are going to be a lot of people that feel like number 11 may have surpassed number 3 for the greatest Blue Jay of all time. And I think it's just a different debate. I think it's like debating the best. Like, you can make the argument that Tom Brady or Orlando Pace are the best football players of all time. I think you make those arguments. They just both play 2 completely different positions. That's obviously the case with Ryan Kalkbrenner and Doug McDermott as well. But when you look at the way that Ryan Kalkbrenner has not only evolved at Creighton, the way he's won at Creighton, he's done it better than anybody. He's got more Sweet 16 appearances than anybody. He's got more tournament wins than anybody, and he's really elevated this place to a different level. I think Fred King would have been serviceable this year. I don't think you have the run that you had this year without Ryan Kalkbrenner in this equation, and I don't think you make the Sweet 16s even with Baylor Scheierman and Trey Alexander like you did without Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate, right? Because I think to some degree, I don't say this lightly, and I don't mean it as a dig or a pejorative or anything. I think Creighton fans are a little bit, some of them, prisoners of recency, and
Sure.
You're a little bit spoiled by what you've seen over the last 5 years from him, right? He has made it so that you just expect to be one of the 2 or 3 top teams in the Big East.
Yeah.
He has made it so you just expect
Single-handedly.
you expect to be playing in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. You expect to go out and compete against the top teams, not in the conference, but in the country, right? And that's a little bit of a spoiling factor, I think, where people will say, "Oh, but Doug," right? And Doug was great. Doug was obviously
National
great.
Player of the Year.
Wooden Player of the Year, But when you think back on this era of Creighton basketball, no matter how it goes from here on out, I think he's going to end up being remembered as probably the best.
I do too. I really believe that.
Down the road, not taking into account whatever happens in the NBA or doesn't happen in the NBA, this run, this era of Creighton basketball with Kalkbrenner as the centerpiece, it doesn't have a comparison in the history of this program.
And I don't think that's fair to say Ryan Kalkbrenner is the centerpiece, because I really think, and me and Casey Matthews were having this discussion on the post game the other night, for Joey Colbert told us to shut up because he had to go home because there was a blizzard happening. But I really think it gets lost. And I used to, when we first started doing Top Fan Show, this is something that drove me nuts, and I called it out every time. Ryan used to be so timid and would kind of do this half raise his hand thing when he wanted the ball, and the fact that he came in and sat behind Christian Bishop, and Christian saw Ryan nipping at his heels, but knew he wasn't ready yet. And then when Ryan made that jump over his sophomore season, it really helped that he went and played for the under-20 nationals team, right? But it wasn't based around him then. It wasn't like he showed up. He had this incredible skill set and developed, and they just helped build on that. And he was already this. I mean, yes, he was 7'1" when he showed up, and obviously he had the body and the skills to eventually be great, and he grew into that. But when he first got here, he was not this polished player. How much he has worked on not getting off his feet to block shots and using his length to use his spacing on the floor to play defense without fouling, and how much he's evolved as a player. I don't think it's talked about enough, because of the fact when he showed up, he was already 7'1". And there's a little bit to that, but his skill set has grown every year. He's added something every year. Myself and other people around Creighton's program talked about, I don't know if it's a good idea for him to come back this year, because I don't know how much he can add to his game. He has added a legit 3-point shot to his repertoire. It is something that he has added to the arsenal that wasn't there before. And you could say that about every single year that he's been at Creighton. It's not like it's not like Doug showed up and he was the National Player of the Year either. I don't want to put that out there as the argument, but he's really progressed and developed new skill set after new skill set to already go on top of a resume that included being the 3-time defending reigning defensive player of the year in the Big East.
And that's sort of what I mean here is that for the last 3.5 years, he's been the constant.
Yeah.
He's been, when other people, he's missed some time with illness and whatever you want to say about that. But
Dan, thoughts?
At the start of the year,
Dan learned about Ryan's lower body injury today.
You knew that he was going to be the man in the middle. You were going to have a great defensive center, and the teams are going to struggle to score on the inside. Like, that's what I mean by him being the centerpiece. Not that he's like the prime scoring threat, but he is the man in the middle that you can build everything around, especially from a defensive perspective.
They've completely changed the way they run their defensive concepts. Like, go back and look when Christian Bishop was the 5 at Creighton. They didn't run drop coverage. They literally changed the significance of what they do defensively because you would see guys dribble, and you still see this. Watch it every single game. People will drive into the paint and see Ryan Kalkbrenner there and just turn around and dribble out and completely reset their offense just because he's standing there. You can't put a value on how important that is, right? But you bring up the offensive point, and like I mentioned, they asked him to add the 3-point shot, they being Creighton and the NBA scouts. But he's also progressively gotten better offensively every single year, too. He's gone up almost by 3 points per game every single season he's been at Creighton. And when things got tough this season, the plan has been, hey, let's just toss it up to 11 and see if he can make something magical happen. And I know people don't want to hear this because it hasn't been the best strategy the last 11 games. I can help you win in March. And I know nobody wants to talk about moral victories in February, but it doesn't really matter when you've got the resume Creighton does and you got a shot to make it win 6-7 games.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say is I think that it looks different when you're playing in your conference versus when you're playing teams that you don't see all the time in the NCAA tournament.
That's also a great point.
Because the teams that are in your conference that have seen him for multiple years and know how, they know Greg McDermott, how he coaches the game, like what he's going to run, how they're going to guard you. Like you can scheme around that. When you've got essentially 2 days to prepare for Creighton, like you're going to have a hard time.
Anomaly. Yeah.
You're going to have a very difficult time trying to scheme around something that you don't see anymore in the college game, which is a dominant defensive center.
I'm really interested to see how the crowd will react to Stephen Ashworth tomorrow. I think it's going to be overwhelmingly positive, but he's kind of been the guy that people pointed at and said, oh, he's too small, he's too this, he's too that, he flops sometimes, blah, 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 blah. But, like, if it wasn't for Ryan Kalkbrenner, I think Stephen Ashworth would be the most beloved player on this entire team. Like, what he brings to you offensively and the fact that he does it with such class and holds himself to a higher standard, like,
he's a sneaky trash talker, though. Let's not throw class out there.
Okay, I'll give you that, but I'm talking about representing the program off the floor, right? Like he's never going to be that guy that's gonna you have to worry about away from the program. But the guy that I think, like, as good as Steven is, the guy that I think people are going to go, ooh, what would that have looked like for 4 years? I think people are going to be like, have been very happy with the progress that Jemiah Neal has made in this program. And for a guy that played a lot of basketball at a Power 4 school, I feel like he's gotten even better this season, specifically under Ryan Kalkbrenner. And and I don't want to leave this guy out there. Trey Ziegler has been an incredible importance to Jemiah Neal's development too. Like the fact that he got Jemiah Neal to come here and then to buy in, which Trey and Jemiah both have talked about openly that wasn't the case when Jemiah first got here. They had to convince him that, no, you need to listen to what we're telling you and how the system dictates the ball moves because you're going to become a better player of it. And that's something that Jemiah has grown into this season.
Yeah, I can remember the conversation we had with John Walker when the Jemiah Neal transfer was announced. He's kind of like, well, this guy, he can fill a role. He can do a couple things.
He's thought of as a defensive presence.
Yeah. And he's like, as the season's gone on, he's just been counted on more and more and more and more for things that I don't think a lot of people felt like he was going to bring when we first heard that he was transferring to Creighton.
And I think that's a real testament to who Jemiah is as a person too, because I don't think there's any basketball player on the planet that'd be like, hey, we're going to give you the ball more and we're going to need you to shoot it more. It's going to go, oh, shucks. But it's not necessarily that. Like he was asked to not only go from being able to create his own shots and be a more creative pace for the offense, he was asked to handle the ball more and put the ball in his hands in certain situations. And he turned it over at a really high clip to start it off, and has been able to throttle that down and be better with the basketball and learn the system and play within it. And in doing so, his shot selection has become better. His passing has become better. And like not only just passing for assist, but the extra pass to get the shot up as well. And that's something that I think from game 1 to game 32 tomorrow, Jemiah Neal has become leaps and bounds better at. One guy I want to make sure we mention though is Sammy Osmani, who will also walk tomorrow. That isn't a guy that's going to jump out on the stat sheet to you, and you've only seen in garbage time, but it is literally the heart and soul of that scout team, and deserves a lot of credit for making this team better. And I'm really happy that he's going to get his moment tomorrow. And Creighton fans aren't in general Creighton fans aren't going to probably appreciate him for what he's done, but those guys in that locker room are very happy that he's getting his moment tomorrow as well.
Yeah, man. See, senior day is an interesting one. We talked to Jim Flannery earlier in the season. They had their senior day with still 2 games to go because of the way the timing worked, and they wanted a weekend day game, and the last 2 games were like either during midweek or or the last game was on a Sunday night. So they wanted to do senior day, and talking to him afterward, it was like, hey, how do you feel about having senior day out of the way this early in the season? He's like, I absolutely love it. I think it's such a good thing for our team to get those emotions out earlier and to be done with it before we get to like, the end of the season and the last game that we may need to win for seeding or something of that nature. So having it on the last day for Creighton is an interesting spot because it is an emotional day. And it's like guys can get in their head over some of that stuff.
I'm going to give you a hot take, John. You can agree or disagree. I think this basketball thing might work out for Britt Prince in Nebraska.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, she's doing pretty well for herself. She's got 16. UCLA went on a run and got the lead out to 12. The Huskers have closed it to 7. We'll keep you up to date as it heads to the fourth quarter. We're also going to get to the social media soundbite on the other side of the break. If you missed this segment, check it out, soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. Spring is right around the corner. It's going to be 71 degrees here in Omaha. Not only in England, it's going to be warm here in Omaha as well. Have you had the maintenance done on your AC unit yet? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Head over to controlledcomfort.com tonight. Have Controlled Comfort come out and take a look at your furnace as well as your AC unit to make sure you can have peace of mind about your HVAC system in the warm and cold months. We'll be right back, finding out what's trending on social media right here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Pepper Jack's Grill. You know what the great thing about Pepper Jack's is? Not only are they so conveniently located all throughout town, but they also have everything that you or your loved ones are looking for. They've got double meat options. They have vegetarian options. They've got barbecue options. They've got salad options. They've got delicious fries. And they've got my personal favorite, a steak rice bowl. If I'm really hungry, I throw shrimp in there to go along with it. And your favorite options on the drink fountain as well. Stop by your favorite Pepper Jack's locations tonight and grab dinner.
Did you know that Bellevue University is making a major investment in its athletic programs with a new $25 million athletic center? This state-of-the-art facility will feature multiple practice and competition courts, a modern 6,800 square foot sports performance and fitness center, an advanced golf simulator, and a new lounge area for our student athletes. The athletic center will open in early 2025. Come see the future of Bruin athletics. Schedule a tour, meet with other athletes, and explore Bellevue University for yourself. Visit BUBruins.com.
Criminal, civil, personal. If you or a loved one is facing a lawsuit, let Williams Law represent you and your family today. With more than 20 years litigation experience in Nebraska, Williams Law will defend you with the dedication you deserve. If you're facing a DUI or if your son or daughter has been accused of a crime, Williams Law is here for you. Call 402-522-6317 to get a free, no-obligation consultation and to get the representation you deserve today.
New Year's resolutions? Let's be honest, they're long gone. So why not embrace that fact and make it cheesy at Pepper Jack's Grill? Got the app? Get the cheese. Loyalty members get free cheese sauce on Phillies, rice bowls, and burritos because everything's better with cheese. Not a member? Join today on the Pepper Jack's app and get in on all that cheesy goodness.
Pepper Jack's Grill. When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Contractors. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Contractors come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at
PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less.
Hey guys, my name is Stephen Butler. I own Controlled Comfort. I just want to tell you, if you go to controlledcomfort.com, you're going to find out that we are a business that's been around for 60 plus years, that we have the best technicians in Omaha. I am biased, but there it is. I'm going to do everything I can to take care of the people that work for me. I love my Controlled Comfort family, and if you call 402-333-2775, you're going to find out that we're going to love you too.
Control Comfort keeps it under control.
Hey, neighbor. Oh, my gosh. Is your energy bill sky high again, too?
Not anymore. My old windows were so leaky, it was as if I had a window open while my AC was running. So I replaced them with Champion Windows.
Champion Windows. Do you like them?
Like them. I love them. And they're guaranteed for a lifetime. They made the whole process easy. I just went online and booked my free estimate all by myself. And I got a great deal where I could buy 2 replacement windows and get 2 free.
A lifetime guarantee and buy 2 windows and get 2 free? Does that mean if I need 8 windows, I can buy 4 and get 4 free?
Sure does.
What if I buy 6? Do I get 6 free?
Yep.
Or if I get 10 windows, do I get 10 free?
Just call Champion Windows already.
If your windows are drafty, ugly, or broken, now is the best time to replace your home's windows with new Champion Windows. Book your free estimate online at championsavenow.com or call 877-GO-CHAMPION right now. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Select styles apply. Minimum purchase required. Cannot be combined with other advertised offers. See store or website for details.
Did you know that AmeriCorps programs improve lives, strengthen communities, and foster civic engagement in Nebraska? For example, AmeriCorps members serving with Conservation Nebraska provide valuable environmental education and practical tips people can use to maintain Nebraska's natural beauty and live more sustainable lives. Discover more about AmeriCorps programs making a difference in your community at serve.nebraska.gov. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
Wrapping up the first hour here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu. Become a Bruin as early as this fall. John Schreiner from England, Jimmy Allen, and Dan Campion from 5011 Capitol Avenue. Taking your phone calls, 402-951-1620. You can follow the show at After Hours 1620 on Twitter, where Dan Campion has the social media soundbite for us tonight. Dan, what do you got?
We're just going to listen to some words, and John will sit there blankly going, I don't know what's going on. But
it's usually what happens.
Here we go. Okay, that's where we're going to cut it off. John, I left you a little note in the chat
about what it was.
But if you don't know, you won't know. That fine, silky voice that you just heard was Stephen A. Smith, because he got yelled at by LeBron James last night in the fourth quarter of a basketball game. And I will say, in the video of the confrontation, as Stephen A. Smith called it,
it was something.
It looked more like a conversation, but LeBron left the huddle during the timeout and sought Stephen A. out as he was sitting probably about 6 or 7 people down from their huddle, and told him, keep my son's name out of your mouth. If you have a problem with me, keep it with me. Do not bring my son into this.
I'm gonna let you cook. Go ahead, because we disagree on this, by the way.
You think we disagree? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what portion of this you think we disagree on, but
Okay.
we're going to find out. Stephen A. Smith then proceeds to go on social media and say, well, I wasn't going to talk about this confrontation whatsoever, but now that it's gone viral, I have to. Oh, my stars.
Oh, okay, never mind. We agree on this wholeheartedly.
Oh, yeah. I agree that it needs to be addressed in some form because it went viral, but not addressing it is also addressing it.
Well, you know why he didn't want to address it? Because LeBron pulled his punk card. Was like,
oh yeah.
But here's what I'll say. And oh God, I'm going to defend Stephen A. Smith. I feel gross about this.
Whoa.
Every single person that Stephen A. Smith criticizes is somebody's son. And LeBron, if you didn't want this circus show to show up at your front door, you didn't have to make sure your kid got drafted to your team. You kind of welcome this. Now, is Stephen A. Smith doing his song and dance to LeBron not being as good as he once was while they're showing, excuse me, brawny lowlights in the corner of the screen while it's happening? Low-hanging fruit? Absolutely. But does LeBron have anybody else but himself to blame for this? Absolutely not.
Well, listen, we're talking about two of the most petty individuals on the
Good point.
face of the earth currently. Like, it's just a ridiculous fight that you would only find in a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, they're both villainous in their own way with their pettiness.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like the situation that we find ourselves in here where Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James are telling each other to stop talking about the other is an absurd reality.
Does anybody else find it a little coincidental that this also happens the day after ESPN gives Stephen A. Smith $100 million?
No, not at all.
That couldn't be by happenstance, right?
Do we mind if Dan gets like mad just for like a couple seconds?
Go
here?
for it.
Because I can see both sides of this situation.
Because they're both wrong.
Yes, because internally, Stephen A. Smith is that guy where he's like, something newsworthy and viral happened to me.
Yeah.
I got to say something about it. I'm going to make this into a, by the way, the whole clip, if we would have played it, 5 minutes and 43 seconds long. This could have been knocked out in that first 45 seconds that we played of the social media soundbite. That could have been it, and that would have been perfectly fine and would have satiated everyone's palates. Now, this
Satiated,
also
great word.
This also comes a week after LeBron James gave the now moderately infamous locker interview where he said, yeah, I can understand why Ant doesn't want to be the face of the league when the way that you guys cover us is so BS-y all the time, and whines about it. This is the same man when he had a high school basketball game playing on ESPN. They the lead-in for the high school basketball game was a compilation of Wilt, Jordan, Bird, Isaiah Thomas, literally every single great had a piece in this lead into the game.
For
and
a
then
high
it
school game.
Pops up with LeBron James as a high schooler, signs a $900 million deal with Nike as a high schooler. He positioned himself to be the face of the league from day number one.
And
he has the chosen one tattooed across his back.
And made sure his kid got drafted to his team.
Those shoulders need to be a little bit stronger, Bron. You need to man up and let water off a duck's back. Let it roll off you, man.
Yeah, if you want $100 million, this is what comes with it. You want the luxury tax money? This is the stuff you have to deal with.
If you're the greatest of all time as you claim to be, then why are you arguing with a man who yells on television?
It's a great question. Many are asking. Hey, that was the social media soundbite. If you missed it tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by our friends at Pixel Fire Marketing. If your business needs help with social media marketing, online advertising, or maybe you're not showing up at the top of Google searches, pixelfiremarketing.com can help with all that. Their social media experts will ignite your social media presence, entice your ideal client, and engage your brand online. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. Amari Cooper, is he washed? We'll debate on the other side of the break. 1620 Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for AX Plumbing, a locally owned plumbing company that leave your business or home cleaner than they found it. I've been telling you how much Nick and his crew have been saving my hide over the last 6 months. If you have long-term plumbing issues that you just need to get fixed, but maybe the bank account doesn't support it, AX Plumbing will offer you financing and make sure they do the job right the first time. Head over to axpservice.com. There's also a discount for current and former military members, first responders, and more. Check out axpservice.com today.
Did you know that Bellevue University is making a major investment in its athletic programs with a new $25 million athletic center? This state-of-the-art facility will feature multiple practice and competition courts, a modern 6,800 square foot sports performance and fitness center, an advanced golf simulator, and a new lounge area for our student athletes. The athletic center will open in early 2025. Come see the future of Bruin athletics. Schedule a tour, meet with other athletes, and explore Bellevue University for yourself. Visit BUBruins.com. Are you watching the water slowly seep down the drain again? Go with a local solution. Go with trusted. AX Plumbing is here to help. With over 20 years of serving the metro area, AX Plumbing can do it all, from residential to commercial. They can even help with the new build installation service. Head over to axpservice.com today. There's financing available to qualified buyers and military discount too. Check out axpservice.com today. AX Plumbing. They'll leave your place cleaner than they found it.
Cunningham's Pub and Grill, now open in Blackstone. Signature smoked wings, one-of-a-kind sandwiches, wraps, burgers, and more. Fill your glass with craft beer or one of our house-made cocktails right on tap. Whether it's lunch with the office or watching the game with friends, come experience a great time. Keep up with us online for delicious daily food and drink specials and find your flavor at Cunningham's. Locally owned and operated in Old Mill and 38th and Farnham in Blackstone.
24/7 threat monitoring, expert tech support, streamlined communications. Allo has a solution for that. Protect your business with Allo Business. Comprehensive firewall security, Microsoft Teams voice-integrated communications, cybersecurity and IT support managed by experts. From productivity to peace of mind, Allo has a solution for that. Allo means business. Protect your business by visiting allofiber.com/business.
Hey Jays fans, it's hoop season and you know what that means. Jerry Ryan has the best selection in town for all things Creighton gear. Stop by Jerry Ryan at 78th and Dodge for your quarter zips in all shades of Jays blue, plus jackets, vests, winter coats, you name it. They have it. Multiple Jays options for men and women from Peter Millar, Cutter and Buck, and Johnny O. Stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing and dress like the coaches do.
At Jerry Ryan's, we bring out the best in you.
News Talk 1290 Coil is the home of Omaha Maverick women's basketball all season long. Don't miss any of the Maverick action as they try to make their mark on the Summit League this season. Omaha Mavericks women's basketball is on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
How does Host Coffee provide the best coffee for your workplace? By finding the richest and most robust coffee beans from all around the world and bringing them to our Nebraska roastery, where your coffee is roasted fresh and delivered straight to you.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Indoor air quality is a top priority for you. You inspect your heating and cooling system, clean the air ducts, and change the filters on time. But here's a question. What about radon? You keep dust and allergens out of your home, but radon? You can't see it, you can't smell it, but it's there, and long-term exposure can lead to serious health risks, including lung cancer. The only way to know for sure is to get your home tested. Reach out to Radon Defense Midwest today. Protect your family's health. Visit radonradio.com.
KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone.
$7:16 on a Friday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Book a free estimate for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your setting. They do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com tonight. It's time for Buy or Sell with Disco Danny Dynamite. Danny?
Michigan State has decided to move its final home football game of 2025 to Ford Field. That's where the Lions play.
People forget.
The Spartans will take on Maryland on November 29th in Detroit. As Jimmy once so accurately pointed out, Detroit is only 50 minutes from East Lansing. With this announcement and the Huskers playing at Arrowhead, buy or sell, we need more college football games at NFL stadiums.
We talked about Stephen A. Smith and LeBron being petty. This is how I be petty on this show. I sell, man. I don't like this. I really don't. I like seeing teams in the uniforms that they classically wear on their home field, on campus, where the students and all that. I don't love that Nebraska's playing at Arrowhead, and I don't love the fact that this is happening at the end of the season for Michigan State either.
Yeah, I'm not as against it as you are. I think anything you can do to be progressive and
I would
give
say
your
I'm
student
against it.
athletes.
I would say I'm against it. I don't think there's I don't get why there's a need or a want for it.
I think for fans to see their team play in an NFL stadium, it's kind of a fun novelty. It's no different than wearing an alternate uniform.
Okay,
It's kind of fun. It's quirky. It's different.
Get that. I would get that for Nebraska fans. Nebraska fans seeing Nebraska play at Arrowhead, sure, because not everybody in Nebraska is a Chiefs fan.
But Georgia and Georgia Tech play in the Falcons Stadium every year.
Yeah, right. But most of those teams or people are probably fans of the Falcons. Most of your Michigan State fans are fans of the Lions. They're seeing their team play in that stadium anyway. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see it happen a bunch, but I think it's fine. It's fun. It's cool for and you let your student athletes play in an NFL stadium. Some of them will never get to do that. I don't know. I think it's anything you can do that says we are a fun, progressive place to play. I think you try that.
Nebraska is in the biggest deficit it's seen in 2 quarters. They trail by 14 now. And time is running out on a Big Ten championship hope for Britt Prince and the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Hey, UCLA is really good.
Yeah, are they?
They are.
What's that number 2 next to their name mean?
It's actually their seed in the Big Ten tournament.
Dan, what do you got?
Well, to go back to the other one, because I buy on this 100%, but I think it needs to be saved for special things like the Georgia Tech game. My biggest gripe with Michigan State making their final home game move to Ford Field against Maryland
that's
is
the thing.
Why wouldn't you, I don't know, do it for the game that everyone wants to go and watch, who lives in your home state, the one that's probably the most fun.
It's only
Yes,
30 minutes
folks,
away from
I'm referring to your game against the Maize and Blue Spartans. You should be playing Michigan State at Ford Field. That would actually pack the stadium.
Or
especially
Notre Dame. Play Notre Dame at Ford Field.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All that would make more sense than Maryland. I agree.
All right, moving on. Both Amari Cooper and Najee Harris are on ESPN's top 5 most overrated free agents in 2025. Buy or sell Cooper, who is 31, and Harris, who is 27, are not worth big contracts.
I did not realize that Najee Harris was 27. I still thought he was closer to 25. I was really, really surprised when I read this on ESPN today. I buy for one of these guys. If Josh Allen can't make Amari Cooper get more than 2.5 yards a catch, I don't know who else can. So I think Najee Harris is still really good. I think a lot of the treads come off the tires because how much he got used in Pittsburgh. With that being said, I still think that there's a market out there for Najee. I mean, Amari Cooper's going to be lucky to be pulling in veteran minimum, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we're in lockstep on this one. Amari Cooper he has not looked like the same receiver since he left Dallas, honestly.
Agreed.
He just hasn't looked like the same guy. And you thought maybe it was lack of quarterback play when he was in Cleveland, but you can't make that.
That city will do that to you.
You can't make that excuse when you're playing with Josh Allen. So I don't know, man. It feels like the time's running short for Amari Cooper. Maybe he's got one good season left in there somewhere, but who's gonna gamble that he actually does have that? I don't
Not
know.
for a lot
I
of
mean,
money.
he's gonna find his way onto somebody's roster because he's Amari Cooper, but I don't know how much production there's gonna be there. And I'm with you. I think Najee Harris, he's probably got a couple of good years and then one more serviceable one left in him. So I don't hate the idea of somebody giving him a 3-year deal. Um, he's a big physical running back. You can use him in different situations. He's also a pretty good receiver. Like we saw that in Pittsburgh. He can catch the ball out of the backfield decently. So you can find a role for him. And ideally, it's in a timeshare because, as you mentioned, the amount of usage that he got in Pittsburgh. Like if you
Thanks,
compare him
Basic.
with another guy who's maybe a little bit more on the speedy side, you could have a pretty good backfield with him and somebody else.
John, I apologize. We should have led the show with this when we were getting an update for you. They were able to save the remote. I
Oh,
jumped off
no.
the desk last week and put it back together. Sorry.
Amazing.
Just wanted to make sure
The
that
miracles of modern medicine.
I just wanted to make sure you got that update. Dan,
All right, thank you. I was worried.
I'm here for you.
Yahoo Sports reported Dan Lanning in Oregon. They've reached a new 6-year deal. It'll pay Lanning $11 million a year, putting his buyout at $20 million as well. Lanning, who is 38, is 35-6 at Oregon in 3 seasons. Buyers sell that this was a needed extension.
I don't think it's a needed one. It's an interesting one because he just got one last year as well. And the only reason I could think logically, other than the fact that he was the number 1 seed, transition to the Big Ten obviously went well. They went undefeated, yada yada yada. We know Alabama came calling last year. We got the Dan Lanning smoking the cigar video. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. Phil Knight's going to give me a boatload of money, whatever he said. This feels like maybe somebody else came calling and Oregon was like, okay, here, we'll back up the Brinks truck one more time for you. Just felt really weird timing wise.
If my head coach has gone 35-6 in his 3 seasons, I want my university to do everything they can to keep him as my head coach. Like, I don't care what it takes.
Agree.
I don't yes, this was the right move. Absolutely. Give him another extension. Do whatever you have to do because he's a proven winner and things are going really well in Eugene, Oregon. Absolutely. Yes, this was a necessary extension.
This feels weird, right?
This is where I slightly disagree. I don't think it's a.
He just got one, not even 11 months ago.
Give him another one. Give him another one tomorrow.
I agree, and that's because they have it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't think it's necessary unless in his prior extension last year, they said, all right, we're going to give you more money. And if you make the college football playoff
this could
and
be a
you're the
show
number one
clause.
seed, we're going to give you even more money.
I didn't think about that. That is a possibility. That
Do
could be what
you
this
like
is.
cash, Dan Lanning? And he said, well, yes, I do.
Lamborghini or Ferrari, right? Dan?
I'm going to make it. Speaking of contracts, tomorrow will mark
Aston Martin is the correct answer.
That was an off-the-air conversation you wouldn't get. Sorry.
I'm more of an alpha man, so. Speaking of contracts, tomorrow will mark 1 year since Creighton gave Greg McDermott a 5-year extension, making Mac the highest paid coach in the Big East at that time. The Indiana job is set to open up at the end of this season, and we know Mac drew interest from Ohio State. Never took those jobs. Buy or sell, Greg McDermott will finish his career at Creighton.
It's an interesting conversation, right? I mean, we all know that Mac was being highly sought by Ohio State and turned them down not once but twice. And I firmly believe that Greg McDermott will be here next year. I know there's a lot of work to be done. The transfer portal is going to have to be hit hard. You're probably going to have to go get 4 guys through the portal on top of the high school recruiting that they've already done. We know that they're invested a lot in an international player as well for a 7'1" rim protector. But I wonder how much at this stage in Greg McDermott's career and life he wants to go take a job where the pressure is going to be through the roof to turn around a program that he has 0 ties to. He had ties to Ohio State. He doesn't have any ties to Indiana. I don't think he takes the end of the job. I think he's at Creighton for the remainder of his career.
The question for me is not any of the things that you mentioned. The question is, does Greg McDermott believe he can win a national championship at Creighton?
You know what? I'll
Football money
caveat that.
dominates everything, and schools without football money don't win basketball national championships. Does he believe that he can be the one that gets it done in a non-football conference? That's the only question you have to answer.
I'll caveat that because I don't think it's a national championship. I think it's a Final Four. I think if he thinks, because that's the one thing that's kind of eluded him, that not that he cares, but for his legacy's sake, if he wanted to even entertain that, that's the one thing that's eluded him. Not everybody wins a national championship. A lot of people hang Final Four banners. It's one thing he hasn't been able to do at Creighton, and does he think that he can do that in Indiana? Does he care? Thoughts on Mac?
I hope he
all
does.
good questions.
I think Mac is gonna retire as a Blue Jay.
I do too.
To be really honest, it seems to me like he likes the community that he has around here. I think he still enjoys basketball enough that he's willing to put up with the transfer portal and the mishigash that you kind of have to get into nowadays to keep a roster up to snuff and to make the deep runs that he's been making. And I think I really just think he's fallen in love with Creighton and with the amount of money that they're willing to give him to keep coaching basketball and doing what he's really good at.
Speaking of contract extensions, that might be a relevant topic to this as well. Hey, we got to get to John Walker. He may have some thoughts on Creighton basketball as well. If you missed our segment with Buy or Sell, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. It is springtime. May not feel like it yet, but it's coming. It's right around the corner. You need to make sure that the AC is ready for the warm months. If you hadn't had a maintenance appointment set up with Controlled Comfort, you need to get it set up now. Head over to controlledcomfort.com and have peace of mind about your HVAC this spring. John Walker from the Omaha World Herald joins us next. 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for our friend Bob at Williams Law. You hear Bob in here every week talking about litigation facing NFL quarterbacks. What does college football playoff expansion look like from a legal sense? Is relegation legal? Are you maybe you're facing a trust issue? All those discussions we have with Bob are with big entities. You don't have to be a large entity like the NFL or an NFL quarterback to work with a lawyer the caliber of Bob Williams. All you have to do is head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com and talk to Bob about the litigation you're facing. Maybe it's not even you. Maybe the loved one in your life. Maybe it's your son or daughter who's gotten into a little bit of trouble. They help with all of that. Work with Bob and his team tonight at WilliamsLawLLC.com. They're going to give you a free, no obligation legal consultation to walk you through the process of the legal system, explain your rights, and make sure you're ready for your day in court. Head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com tonight.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7.
It's going to be a bit of a gray, damp, dreary Friday evening with temperatures in the mid and upper 30s. But as clouds clear out overnight, temperatures really drop into the mid and low 20s. But sunshine breaks away tomorrow afternoon, and we see high temperatures get in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Luke Vickery, KETV Newswatch 7.
Are you dreaming of your business dominating local Google searches, drawing in customers effortlessly? Look no further. I'm Courtney, the Google gal from Pixel Fire Marketing. Need assistance with your Google business profile? From verification to getting more reviews, fixing maps to tackling annoying Google calls? I've got you covered. Your profile sets you apart and ensures you're the top choice for local customers. Visit fixmygbp.com for our $297 special offer. Visit fixmygbp.com for more details.
Criminal, civil, personal. If you or a loved one is facing a lawsuit, let Williams Law represent you and your family today. With more than 20 years litigation experience in Nebraska, Williams Law will defend you with the dedication you deserve. If you're facing a DUI or if your son or daughter has been accused of a crime, Williams Law is here for you. Call 402-522-6317 to get a free, no-obligation consultation and to get the representation you deserve today.
New Year's resolutions? Let's be honest, they're long gone. So why not embrace that fact and make it cheesy at Pepper Jack's Grill? Got the app? Get the cheese. Loyalty members get free cheese sauce on Phillies, rice bowls, and burritos because everything's better with cheese. Not a member? Join today on the Pepper Jack's app and get in on all that cheesy goodness.
Pepper Jack's Grill.
When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Contractors. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Contractors come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at
PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less.
Ready to make a positive impact in a young boy's life? Join Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands and become a mentor where you are matched up with a boy in the greater Omaha area. Over 50 boys are waiting for someone like you to guide and inspire them. Visit mentoromaha.org and sign up to make a difference in a boy's life. Don't wait. Make a lasting impact today.
Hey, Jays fans, it's hoop season, and you know what that means. Jerry Ryan has the best selection in town for all things Creighton gear. Stop by Jerry Ryan at 78th and Dodge for your quarter zips in all shades of Jays blue, plus jackets, vests, winter coats, you name it. They have it. Multiple Jays options for men and women from Peter Millar, Cutter and Buck, and Johnny O. Stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing and dress like the coaches do.
At Jerry Ryan's, we bring out the best in you.
You keep dust and allergens out of your home. What about radon? It could be there, and long-term exposure can lead to serious health risks, including lung cancer. If you're a 1620 The Zone listener, you can get your home tested by Radon Defense Midwest. Click radonradio.com.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Post Coffee is on a mission to invigorate every workplace with a blend of bold flavors and unforgettable service, creating moments with our coffee, water, and food services that spark joy, productivity, and connection. Call Host Coffee today.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
I'm Omaha Athletic Director Adrian Dow, and I want to introduce you to 3 Omaha schools that are playing a vital role in keeping our community strong. We serve nearly 600 pre-K through 8th grade students, most of whom come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. These students receive a values-based education with the family support they need. I'm a proud member of the CUES Fund Board, which supports the CUES school system. To learn more, go to CUES Schools, that's CUES schools.org.
Now back to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
7:33 on a Friday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Book a free estimate for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your siding. They can do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com tonight. John Walker from the Omaha World Herald now joins us. John, good evening, sir. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm doing a little bit of senior day writing, actually. Let's see, Stephen Ashworth. I'll have something on Stephen Ashworth early Saturday morning out on the Bird app, or I guess what used to be the Bird app. Now it's the Alphabet app. I don't know.
The artist formerly known as.
Yeah, and then I'll have something on a pretty big piece on Ryan Kalkbrenner out on Sunday. So I'm just in the middle of doing all of that. As a long meandering way to say, how are you guys?
We're great. John's in England tonight. So I don't know if you know.
Not me.
No. John Schreiner is in England tonight. John Walker is currently in Omaha, ready to go to the Chai tomorrow. Hey, what are you the most excited about for tomorrow? Because obviously you haven't been here as long as most people covering the beat, but you've been here for 2 years, as long as Stephen Ashworth has been, not as long as Ryan Kalkbrenner has been. So, like, what are you the most excited about for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think really just to like. This is going to sound super messed up in a way. Like, there was so much love to go around last year. Like, you gave love, Stephen didn't participate in the senior day, so we kind of knew he was coming back, but like, he was a senior too. But like, there was Trey and there was Baylor and there was Kalk, because we didn't know if he was coming back at that point. There was Bello, and it was like, okay. And obviously, like, Jemiah Neal and Sammy Osmani have been instrumental to this program in their respective times. Sammy through his 5 years as a walk-on, and Jemiah this year of the transfer from Arizona State. And obviously Stephen Ashworth has his own special place in Creighton history. But the fact of the matter is, guys, like, Ryan Kalkbrenner will have the brightest part of the spotlight on Saturday, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like, inarguably, whether
which those
you're talking,
those are the 3 guys are fine with too, by the way.
Right. Like they want him to have it. They want him to have it because Ryan Kalkbrenner's not a guy who would step into that spotlight. So yeah, they're going to nudge him into it for sure, and he deserves it. So I'm really interested to just see what type of ovation he truly gets, and if the big guy gets a little senti, gets a little emotional.
Sure.
We know that's not really Ryan Kalkbrenner, but maybe in that moment, it will be.
Yeah, and one of the guys you mentioned is the guy that I remember, and Jimmy and I talked about this earlier when we were kind of talking about senior day, was Jemiah Neal. And when the transfer was announced, we had you on the show. We were kind of asking you, like, what does this guy mean? What could he be? And the general conversation was kind of like, well, he can play a role. He can fill a spot. He's going to do this and that. And I think it's been unexpected, his level of productivity this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Like the big thing, I sat down with Greg McDermott in May, and they had already signed Pop and they had already signed Jemiah. And I said, when you went into the portal and you were looking for players, like you knew you were going to have to get guys who could score. But like what exactly were you looking for in the players that you got? And when he broke down Jemiah, he said, he's either going to play the 2 or the 3. And he said, we need him to rebound. Like if he can defend and rebound, we'll be okay. And he has done so much more than defend and rebound.
Yeah.
Now he's done those too, sure, but he's also done so much more than that. It's kind of, I don't know. You can't really say this for a lot of people, but like that is what's right about the transfer portal. A guy who had played 3 years at Arizona State, limited role. And I mean like limited role his first 2 years, kind of had a breakout season last year, but just, it wasn't a fit. Anybody who's listened to Jemiah talk has discovered that. I found that out talking to his agent when he signed. And Greg McDermott's alluded to it as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's no animosity between Jemiah and anybody at Arizona State. It just wasn't a fit. And Greg McDermott was optimistic he could turn Jemiah into something that he hadn't been. And Jemiah was optimistic that he could be someone he hadn't been yet. And that's just like been the perfect summation of this marriage. Because really like the thing is, if this 5th year stuff gets passed this summer, which I don't think it's going to, honestly, but like in a world where it did, the Jemiah Neal transfer experience has gone so well at Creighton that they would absolutely find the NIL or the roster spot or the scholarship or whatever to bring him back for a second year. Now that's a long if, obviously, with NCAA legislation, but long meandering way to say, John, this team would not be what it has been, what it will be through the last few weeks of the season without Jemiah Neal. Like it's no secret that Creighton has been at its best when he has been toward his best. And he's grown and Creighton has grown because of it.
Well, that brings up an interesting debate, right? If the season were to end tomorrow and there wasn't any postseason play, how do you sum up his career in Omaha?
Jemiah's?
Yeah.
It's an interesting spot because he's done it somewhat selflessly. Now that's kind of the Creighton way, right? Like,
I agree.
Like your Greg McDermott doesn't recruit players who think that their piece to the puzzle is more important than the next guys. And like, sure, Ryan Kalkbrenner is the most important piece to this puzzle. You would never know it if you talk to him. And so those are the guys. And Jemiah embodies that a little bit, but I truthfully think a lot of it is going to depend on what happens in the postseason.
Sure.
Like that's the tough thing. That's what's so tough.
Is that fair though? You know what I mean?
Is it fair
for a guy that has transferred in and changed really everything he was asked to do when he comes here because of an injury to one guy, and have to fully buy in the way he did to say? Because I agree with you. I don't think you're wrong. But I mean, to say all that, everything this team has had to overcome, I think those three of the 4 guys are going to be specifically judged on the way these next couple of weeks roll out.
Yeah, they are absolutely. And I'll tie this back into the last one. I'll tie these together.
Sure.
We've known all season especially after the Pop Isaacs injury, that it was Steven and Ryan. Stop those two, make everyone else beat you. Now, stopping those two is a task within itself.
Right.
But before the Pop injury, after the Pop injury, we saw on multiple occasions, if you stop Steven and Ryan and make everybody else beat you, you have a chance if you somehow find a way to stop Ryan and Steven. And Jemiah really shouldered that load after that Nebraska loss. And Pop hadn't even obviously been out yet. He was dealing with the hip, but not to the point where he knew he needed surgery. And he dropped he matched his career high in points in that Notre Dame win in Vegas. And he's just done that in different ways, in different spurts. Like if it's chasing around Eric Dixon or chasing Cam Jones or staying glued to solo ball for an entire game, or if it's dropping 24 at UConn to win. Like he's been so selfless in so many ways. And so I think the Jemiah Neal part, fairly, unfairly, as we were just talking about, these guys' legacies are going to, all said and done, come down to what happens over the next couple of weeks. Like teams are inevitably, with their season on the line, going to try and take away Steven and Ryan. Who's going to step up? Well, it's pretty consistently been Jemiah. And obviously his legacy so far is defined by that, but there's still a few chapters to write in the story. And, the conclusion's often what leaves people jaws hanging or PO'd or whatever. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
I think Stephen Ashworth's an interesting case too, because I don't know, maybe my perception is off, but this is what I've experienced is the fan perception of Stephen Ashworth has gone through a few different swings, right?
Yeah.
When he was first signed, there was like, we got a great 3-point shooting point guard, a true point guard, somebody who's going to come in and run the offense and make threes. And then the first part of his first season was like, this guy turns it over way too much.
Yeah.
And then that kind of changed and everyone was in love with him. And it's been this interesting, it's like looking at the perception of Stephen Ashworth is like looking at a wild basketball game where the win percentage just swings back and forth. And that's kind of how his career at Creighton's gone to me.
Yeah, no, it is. If you want the one that would come to mind is this triple overtime Seton Hall game last year. If you want to, the I don't want to say love hate, because I don't think they ever hated him at any point, but we saw that a little bit with Pop when he was playing, and with Jemiah, it takes time to settle in. And Greg McDermott actually said ahead of Friday's practice, that it's no secret Creighton had just lost Ryan Nembhard, a point guard that led them one in a pretty tightly contested game against, did he play against Kansas? No, he was hurt against Kansas.
Yep. The rest. Yep.
And then he just led him to an Elite Eight. So it's everyone around here knows what they lost. Right. Like everyone around here knows what Creighton lost when R2 entered the portal. And Greg McDermott said before today's practice that for those first 14, 15 games last year, Stephen Ashworth was trying to be somebody who he isn't, who he wasn't, who he certainly isn't. And then once he started being himself is when he kind of flourished. Exactly. This is the line in my story. Pull it up real quick. Like Creighton, he needed this is after he left Utah State. He needed a new home, and Creighton, which had just lost Ryan Nembhard, needed a new point guard.
Perfect.
And it's been a world of a difference ever since those first 14, 15 games last year.
That's John Walker from the Omaha World Herald. Catch all those articles he was just referencing at omaha.com, or buy yourself a newspaper. John, we appreciate it. We'll catch up. I'll see you tomorrow, but we'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, guys.
If you missed John's segment tonight, want to check it out, give it a listen at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by our friends at Cunningham's Pub. It's a Friday, but you can celebrate Wing Wednesday any day of the week at Cunningham's. All you got to do is stop by one of their two great locations, either Old Mill or the historic Blackstone District. Stop by, try my personal favorites, the Everything Bagel Salmon Wrap. It's so good, it'll change your life. Stop by and grab dinner and drinks at Cunningham's tonight. We'll be right back, wrap up the show, and giving you our Papillion Sanitation Trash Takes the Night right here on 1620 The Zone.
Hello there, folks. It is a Friday, and what do you know? 7:45 at night, and Dan Campenon's hungry. And the only thing that I have on my mind right now is the fact that Pepper Jack's has 10 great local locations where I'm going to go in exactly 22 minutes and get my steak gunner Philly with all the vegetables, including some jalapeno juice to make it extra spicy. And now, the cheese. Extra cheese, if you please. It doesn't even make me sneeze. It's exactly what I want on my Philly to make it extra, extra special. And of course, if I'm going to be at Pepper Jack's, I'm not skipping those wonderful fries that they got over there. 10 great local locations. Stop and get you some Pepper Jack's tonight.
Did you know that Bellevue University is making a major investment in its athletic programs with a new $25 million athletic center? This state-of-the-art facility will feature multiple practice and competition courts, a modern 6,800 square foot sports performance and fitness center, an advanced golf simulator, and a new lounge area for our student athletes. The athletic center will open in early 2025. Come see the future of Bruin athletics. Schedule a tour, meet with other athletes, and explore Bellevue University for yourself. Visit BUBruins.com. Are you watching the water slowly seep down the drain again? Go with a local solution. Go with Trusted. AX Plumbing is here to help. With over 20 years of serving the metro area, AX Plumbing can do it all, from residential to commercial. They can even help with the new build installation service. Head over to axpservice.com today. There's financing available to qualified buyers and military discount too. Check out axpservice.com today. AX Plumbing. They'll leave your place cleaner than they found it.
You can get a great craft beer pretty much anywhere these days. But what about the whole package, dining out, service, and atmosphere? Come to Cunningham's Pub and Grill, home of Omaha's original smoked wings, now with 2 locations. We're bringing back Sundays at our Old Mill location this fall, where you can catch all the sports while enjoying quality food and drinks. Find your flavor and follow us online for unique daily specials and fun craft beer events. Cunningham's Pub and Grill in Old Mill and now Blackstone.
My name's Stephen Butler, and I own Controlled Comfort, and we've been in business for 6 decades, and in those 6 decades, I like to think that everything we do is about the art of comfort. It's about the skill of our people, but it's also about the integrity, because at the end of the day, I value my employees, so they value you, and that's really all this is about. If you get cold this winter, think about us. We'll come help you out. We'll get you out of bind. It'll be fair, it'll be fast, and it'll be the right price.
Control Comfort keeps it under control.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Allo Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit allofiber.com to switch today.
Hey neighbor, oh my gosh, is your energy bill sky high again too?
Not anymore. My old windows were so leaky it was as if I had a window open while my AC was running. So I replaced them with Champion Windows.
Champion Windows? Do you like them?
Like them? I love them. And they're guaranteed for a lifetime. They made the whole process easy. I just went online and booked my free estimate all by myself. And I got a great deal where I could buy 2 replacement windows and get 2 free.
A lifetime guarantee and buy 2 windows and get 2 free? Does that mean if I need 8 windows, I can buy 4 and get 4 free?
Sure does.
What if I buy 6? Do I get 6 free?
Yep.
Or if I get 10 windows, do I get 10 free?
Just call Champion Windows already.
If your windows are drafty, ugly, or broken, now is the best time to replace your home's windows with new Champion Windows. Book your free estimate online at championsavenow.com or call 877-GO-CHAMPION right now. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Select styles apply. Minimum purchase required. Cannot be combined with other advertised offers. See store or website for details.
Hey there, I'm Tyler Bebout with Modern Real Estate. So when we come to your house for a consultation, we will give you a cash offer guaranteed up to $2 million. And then we also give you suggestions on repairs, remodels, or additions on what the future profit might be as you go to market. So when you're ready to go to market, we have different packages on how you can actually save thousands more on commission, depending on how you want to do marketing, how we want to pay buyers agents and things like that with the new rules that came out with the National Association of Realtors. Call and text at 402-450-5970, or you can go to myearnedequity.com. ZipRecruiter.com.
Omaha men's basketball has had an historical season. That's the regular season as champs. Now they begin the quest to go to the NCAA tournament. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Sharp. Join me on the road to the tournament in Sioux Falls on Thursday on News Talk 1290 Coil. We'll be on the air at 5:30 the pregame. Tip-off 6 o'clock.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Bankers Trust is now open, offering Omaha competitive checking and CD products to help you maximize your finances. Visit Bankers Trust at 192nd and Dodge or online at bankerstrust.com/Omaha to learn more about available product offers.
You are listening to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
Wrap the show up on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Book a free estimate for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your siding. They do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com. Tonight, it's time for our Papillion Sanitation Trash Takes of the Night. Here, what we'll do is we'll all give you a hot take to close out the show. We'll put a poll on Twitter. You will vote for who had the best take. Whoever gets the least amount of votes will have the trashiest take of the evening. Dan Campion, do you want to go ahead and start us off?
I would love to. Jimmy Haslam, grow up.
No relation.
Your last name's on Haslam. Thank gosh. Not all.
I don't know. I like their money.
I mean, we all would. But Jimmy Haslam needs to grow up. I understand it's not your job to make those football decisions that you're supposed to do in the Browns franchise, but to pawn off what has literally been the cornerstone of your franchise, who, to be fair, could have left years ago. You have not played good football in years. And Myles Garrett could have said, nah, I'm out. The fact that you will not amicably release his contract and let him go and seek greener pastures with a team that is a contender that, let's be fair, 31 other teams can use a Myles Garrett. He is the greatest edge rusher in the game right now. Grow up and let the man do his duty and leave.
John Schreiner.
So I'm going to use my time on the trash take tonight to give some flowers to someone who I had the pleasure of interacting with over the span of 3 years. Her career ended yesterday as the Omaha Mavericks women's basketball team lost to South Dakota State in the Summit League tournament. And that person is Grace Cave. Grace is just a tremendously positive, inspiring presence to be around, if I'm being completely honest. Always a smile, always upbeat, never has a complaint, always doing things the right way. She moved into the top 10 all-time in scoring for Omaha women's basketball yesterday with 20 points in the loss to South Dakota State. Just a slew of great memories calling games with Grace on the court. I mean, she was just a bundle of energy, always out there making the play, diving on the floor, playing tenacious defense, scoring. Like, she is a great Maverick, and one that this community and that program will certainly miss. And I'm wearing the Omaha hat tonight in service of this, because if you didn't get a chance to see Grace Cave play, maybe you saw her in her senior year of high school as a senior hitting the buzzer beater to win a state championship. If you never got to see her play at Baxter Arena, boy, you missed out on something special, because she was so fun to watch, and she's going to be missed around here for a long time.
I'm using my trash take tonight to not give flowers, but to take flowers away. people have to stop treating Matt Rule like a punchline because he's made you eat crow at least once if you're Paul Feinbaum. And Stuart Mandel asked if Matt Rule is trying to be the arbiter of college football and dictate rules because he was the first to pull out of the spring game, and notable universities since then have followed suit. No, he's not trying to be the arbiter of college football. He just had a really good idea, and everybody else went, oh, we could do that? Matt Rule didn't do this for anybody else. He did this for the sake of his program and what he thought was in the best interest of his players and his ability to win football games. He's not the first person to put FCS cupcakes on his schedule over Power 5 schools. The SEC has been doing it since the dawn of time. He's not trying to change the rules. He's just finally playing by the ones everyone else has been following and going against the grain of what the Big Ten has been doing. And to make him lesser than because he's 12-13 in his time in Nebraska is an absolute joke, because what he's trying to do is for the betterment of his players and the way that the football operations are done at the University of Nebraska. And I hate to tell you this, Stuart Mandel, but you're probably going to regret your words just like Paul Feinbaum did. Now, they weren't as atrocious as what Paul Feinbaum had to say, telling Matt Rule to stay in his lane. But the fact that people are just saying, well, he's doing this for attention. I couldn't agree less with that sentiment. Those were our trash takes of the night. Go ahead and vote at After Hours 1620 on Twitter and let us know who you thought had the best take tonight. The show is brought to you by Allo Fiber. Allo goes above internet speeds, whether it be in your home or your business. If you're dealing with a managed service provider that's not giving you cybersecurity or voice solutions or 24/7 support from a real-life person, you need to check out allobusiness.com tonight. For Dan Campen and English John Schreiner, I've been Jimmy Allen. Happy National Tartar Sauce Day, everybody.
Fish and chips.
Did you know that Bellevue